Principle number 1. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. And this is about inviting miracles. What does that mean? There's no order of difficulty in miracles. What do you think?
There's no small one.
Small, big, whatever, right? It could be a $150 million bank loan. Maybe you work for a corporation and they're in default and the whole company's going down. So it could be something huge like that. It could be the tiniest little thing. I remember my mom had this little scrap of paper she was looking for because she was making scrapbooks, and it was a little $1,000 bill, and she wanted to do something special with it, and she accidentally threw it away. Just the tiniest little thing. And she had paper, all kinds of papers and scraps and all that, and she threw it all away. So she did a prayer about it. This little $1,000 bill. So she just said, well, God, you know where it is. There's nothing lost in your kingdom. Can you show me where it is? So couldn't find it, looked around, let it go, emptied the trash. So she takes all the trash outside, she starts to dump it into the bigger container, and it flies up in the air. Thank you very much. I prayed about a clogged toilet. I prayed about a computer I didn't know how to get it to come on. I prayed about a refrigerator that failed. And it's amazing the things that can happen. So don't forget prayer ever, for any reason. Sometimes we think, maybe God has better things to do. No, this is what the Creator has to do, is to make sure that we are happy. And when we're not happy, that there's a misperception in the way. And that's what we'll come to know, is that when we're looking at something and it's not happy, then there's room for healing. And there's always room for healing. So we want to get very intolerant of mediocrity. Haven't we kind of gone through life and gotten pretty tolerant about things not working, or traffic, or all the things that you almost accept as a way of life, yeah. Right? So we're going to start having a much higher standard for what's possible, and to allow that happiness to flow into our lives. So no matter how large your financial problem is, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. The size, shape, and content of the problem does not matter. Miracles are possible in all situations. This handbook is not meant to be religious. It does, however, acknowledge that we have a divine, loving Creator who is available for help in all situations. You might refer to that presence as God, Spirit, higher wisdom, divine love, universal wisdom, wise mind, or some other reference. Please use the term that most suits you as we move forward together. We will use the term God for simplicity. Please do not let words stop you from the healing you desire. There are many people that the word God is kind of negative, because maybe that word has been used in a way to create fear. As maybe you're growing up, and God's going to get you for that, or so there's some people that still have a lot of fear around the word God. But I think over time that fear is going to come down, and we'll start to allow that word, the it's in the word, it's an important sound. So maybe we can allow that back into our consciousness if it's not there already. How do miracles happen? Miracles are the result of a shift in perception. Miracles are not the result of God sprinkling pixie dust or on some and not on others, or from luck, effort, coincidence, or good fortune. They come from your willingness to see your situation differently. They are a correction of a misperception. Miracles arise from a mind that is ready for them. To make yourself ready for a miracle or for a shift in perception, you can say to yourself, I am willing to see blank differently. Perhaps in the blank space you can say my income, my bank accounts, my bills, this loan, my financial situation. Sometimes we've heard about, where the mother can lift the car off of the child. The car is on top of the child, let's say. What's happening there is that out of love, of course, she doesn't want that car on her child. And when only love is known, there is no fear. It's just car off. That's how it's going to go, right? Yeah. This is how it's going to go. So the mind lets go of its limitation. It lets go of any idea that this cannot be done, and so things get done, right? So miracles in a mind being ready for them is about fear not being present. Because when fear is not present and we get back to a peaceful place, really extraordinary things can happen. Each time you think of a problem and begin to feel anxiety or another negative emotion, simply say the above to yourself again. I'm willing to see this differently. It's a good idea to place this statement on your refrigerator or someplace where you will see it often. By repeating this statement, you are affirming to your higher mind that you are ready to see things differently. This invitation prompts your higher mind to offer you a healed perception to replace and correct your misperceptions. See, we don't really think we have misperceptions. You know, if you're driving through a desert and let's say you see a mirage, you might presume, you know, that water, it's probably not there. It sure looks like it's there, right? The mirage way out in the distance, and you know, if you had to bet, if you've never seen one before, you would think there was a lake out there. I mean, it really looks true. Or sometimes we can be watching a stage illusionist. Can I say that? Illusionist, magician. And we might look at what he's doing, and you know, there's no wires, and he's doing the thing or sawing her in half, and so we have this idea that we know it's a trick. So we can just be at peace with that. Okay, it's a trick. It's a manipulation, and we're not seeing something. But as we go on about our life, you know, in our days, that we look at and we just take verbatim that what we see is the truth. So when there's a condition occurring, like something that can't be paid, or something that's not happening that we want it to, or something that is happening that we don't want it to, if it's not bringing up joy and happiness and peace in us, because that's our inherent birthright as children of God, is to have total and complete happiness. So when we're not happy, we can hold a place in our mind to allow this higher wisdom from the Creator. This higher wisdom corrects everything. So the biggest thing now is to really not get really comfortable with mediocrity. Like when it's not happy, we want to get on about our prayer and on about asking for something to be corrected for us. One of the major principles that is part of this work is that cause and effect have been reversed. Many people believe that, you know, here's my circumstances. Let's say I got laid off from my job. So that's the cause of my problem, right? My cause is I got laid off. The effect is that I have no money, or that I have less money, right? So we see the cause out here, and the effect is what I experience in here, so to speak. And that's what goes on day in and day out by the largest part of our population. So when we try to go about affecting something or changing it, we try to change it at the cause, which we think is outside of us. So when we're laid off, the first thing we want to do is go running after trying to find the job, get the job, get the job, get the job, because if I can switch my cause, now I can get back to healing my effect. But what if we realize that that was backwards? What if we realized,
not liking that job for the last couple of years?
Perhaps. What if we had a thought that said, you know, I'm not sure this job is so secure.
Right.
Or, boy, this company's not doing that well. I wonder if they're going to lay anyone off. And we don't realize that these thoughts are floating through our minds. And if we kind of give them a little floor time, we realize that maybe they are. Or maybe we're actually out looking at another job because we don't really like that job. Like, for instance, you might have not liked that job for quite some time, and then all of a sudden when they're looking for people to lay off, well, then that would make sense to pick you, because if you don't like that job, or, you know, you've already taken your energy out of it and you're pointing it somewhere else. So it doesn't mean that we're at fault. It means that we're out here creating and miscreating all the time in everything that we do. And so if we could realize that the consciousness is the cause and the outside external effect is the effect, then when we go about trying to effect a change, we want to go after the true cause, which is our consciousness.